Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out Fox Boss 9, and today I'm out in the garage. It's a warm day, it's about 84 degrees, there's a little bit of rain, and it's nice and humid out, and I love this weather. Talking about all this humidity and heat gets me thinking about mowing, and I had a couple of questions, and one just recently. It was concerning what I was talking about as far as mowers and what to buy, and I'm talking about riding mowers. And they basically asked me which one to buy, and that question is so loaded and it's so hard to answer. I wanted to do a separate video on this, and that's what this is here. So I'll try to keep it short, but this is basically what you need to look for whenever you're buying a riding mower overall in general terms. Things that you have to consider. I have to read from a paper because there's quite a few things you have to consider. If you're looking for a used mower, it takes a pretty keen eye to be able to scrutinize the used mowers and what to look for. It's overall maintenance, how it looks. Does it look like it's been abused? Do they keep it in their garage? Do they leave it out back covered with a tarp? Is the deck really rusted? Is there a lot of grass on the deck? Does there signs of oil leaks? Is the tires underinflated? Has it sat a long time? All those things can be pluses or minuses. If there's rust on it, that may not be an issue. As long as it's not rusted through, it might just be surface rust. Does it sit outside under a tarp? Well, at least he tarps it. Is it a dry environment? Is it really hurting it to be under that tarp? Is it better than being outside? It means at least the person that had it was trying to protect it to some extent. There's a lot of things that you have to look at. The best thing you can do is get somebody locally that you know that knows mowers and has a good history with being able to buy mowers. They can help you out with your purchase if you're just not sure. There's a lot of conditions that you have to be concerned about and know about as far as each individual person in buying. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. And I'll go into why you may need to ask those questions. The first thing is, are you a handy type of person? Are you going to be able to figure out the mower? Is a more complex mower a little confusing to you? You don't understand why stuff works, you just know that it works. You may want to get a basic mower, something really simple. It's not a bad thing to be someone that don't understand how that works. It's not bad at all. I know lots of people that mow their lawn sufficiently and do a good job, and they really don't have any clue how that mower works. If it doesn't start, they know to call somebody and they come out and fix it. How old is the user? Are you going to be having young kids get on it? You know, I just have to say, whenever I was a teenager, I used to mow quite a few acres every week sitting on a riding mower. And there were times that I would get out there and get bored and I might screw around with that mower. But it was kind of indestructible, so I didn't hurt anything. However, looking back, if I would have done some of that stuff to some of the mowers I've had over the years, it could have been a problem. Some mowers are made with brush guards on the front that will handle bumps into the garage or the shed because they accidentally hit it, versus other ones that might have all plastic front ends, and it's $100 for a new front end replacement. You want to look at something that can get beat up, or if it's you and you take care of it, or if it's a younger person that's very responsible, just get one that fits your bill at that point and not worry about is it going to be able to handle scratches and bruises and being banged around. How long does this mower need to last? Now, this is a touchy subject, and it's kind of a little bit of a morbid subject, but I had to talk to my father, who's getting ready to turn 70 here shortly, about a brand new mower that he was going to buy. And I told him that ultimately this might be the last mower that he buys, because he had a mower that he had for 18 years. He paid $700 for it. It was Kmart, and he ran it until it ran into the ground. And he started thinking about buying another cheap one on sale. And I told him that that's not a bad thing. However, if he bought one that was just a little bit better, that it might ultimately last him until he dies or until he has to have somebody else mow the lawn. Again, it's not something that it's nice to think about, but if you're in your late 60s or your 70s, you could potentially be buying a riding mower that lasts you for the rest of your life. If somebody who's 80 years old and loves to go out and still mow their lawn, I want to suggest them to go out and buy a $3,000 John Deere, unless they're wanting to pass that on, because some of those John Deeres are going to last 30, 40 years, especially if they're taken care of. And unfortunately, as much as everybody would like to live until they're in their hundreds, that may not be the case. So something to think about, how long you want it to last. Is there going to be more than one user on the mower? The mower that I have is not really user friendly for my wife, who's a little bit shorter, unless she gets out a wrench, breaks loose a couple nuts that are underneath the seat, slides the seat forward, and then locks them back down again. And at that point, she can drive the tractor comfortably. I wouldn't want to do that every single time. So you might want to find something that has an adjustable steering wheel or an adjustable seat, which a lot of the new ones do. And that'll allow you to move the seat back and forward and make it comfortable for you. Talking about comfort, that's what I'm getting into now. Is the mower going to be a good body type fit? You won't be able to get one of these little rear engine rider mowers whenever you weigh 300, 350 pounds, 400 pounds. I had a gentleman who came down and bought a mower from me. It was an 8-horse, 32-inch cut mower, and he weighs over 400 pounds. And the mower did a very good job for him over about 3 years' time, but the transaxle finally broke on it. Also ergonomics. If you're physically capable of climbing on and off the mower. Over the years, I've sold mowers to senior citizens. A lot of them like the rear engine design because that allows a step-through frame to where they can get up on the tractor, then sit down. I've had people that have bum legs that just can't swing it over the tractor seat to get on. There's people that need running boards to stand up on to get onto the tractor first. How small are you? There's people that have a really hard time reaching the pedal, and they might be able to slide forward in the seat to make it to where they can push the clutch in and stop it on the, with the brake. But you may want to make it to where it's a little bit easier for them to do that. How much mower is needed? This is a big question. How much lawn do you have? If you have something that is around an acre, let's say a half to an acre, you can get by with a 42-inch cut all day long. You'll have no problems. And the smaller the deck, if you had a lot of obstacles in your yard, it makes it easier for you to get around those obstacles having that smaller deck. Also, you might have a situation to where your lawn does a lot of undulating up and down. You scalp your lawn to where that deck, because it being so big, might be a rise on this side that it can't handle versus a low spot, and it'll take and put a blade in the ground and scalp the lawn. As far as 2 acres or plus, I would definitely do a 48-inch or bigger. You may want to be looking at a twin cylinder because you need the horsepower to run that thing consistently all the time with those bigger decks. I'm a big twin cylinder fan. It makes the tractor work a little bit less hard to get the job done, especially if you have a hydrostat, because that uses a little bit of horsepower and torque also. You also have to worry about what kind of ground you have. Is it rough terrain? Is there bumps? Do you have protruding roots because of the way the ground settles in the late summer and you have big trees? You got to watch for that. You got to make sure that you buy something that has a deck that's able to accommodate any kind of a rise in the ground. I've gone out to people's homes. I have found that they have converted fields to lawns, and there's still a lot of ruts and stuff. And unfortunately, that will wear on the steering and ultimately possibly break the steering. So what you want to do is get into a bigger garden tractor that might have a heavier suspension on the front and be able to handle those turns without breaking anything. Are you in a wet or dry climate? Is it sandy? Is there a lot of soil? Is it muddy? All those things have to do with how well the tractor has traction to drive through. Our grass here, our lawn up front is dry, in the back is almost always muddy and moist. Because I mow occasionally whenever it's still kind of wet out, our tractor has weights and chains on it that I leave on year round. And that's because of an accessory of a snowplow, which I'll talk about that in a little bit too. So you got to be concerned about how big your turf tires are on the tractor or the lawnmower, and if they're going to give you enough footprint to get you through a muddy situation. Is fuel consumption an issue? Seems kind of funny, but with gas prices the way that they were up a few years back, and I'm sure they'll get back up there again, twin cylinder mowers have a tendency to use more gas. Now, I still prefer twin cylinder mowers, but you might be able to get by with a smaller single cylinder. If you have something like a 12 horse or a 14 horse, an older one, those don't use very much gas. And if you get into like an 8 horse, 32-inch cut like a Simplicity, they hardly use gas at all. They sip gas. But if you get into a 24 horse twin like a Kawasaki or a Briggs or a Kohler, something like that, you're going to use some gas whenever you crank it up to the RPM that it needs to be at whenever you're doing your mowing. So it's something to consider. Is a gas station close to you? Some people might be in an area that's really out, way in the boondocks, and it's hard for them to pick up gas and keep gas in a can. Also, you got to be concerned with how old the gas is. So in my case, I don't keep but like 2 gallons of gas here because I have a gas station within walking distance. So every time I need gas, my gas can is over there. I just take a smaller gas can to get it. That way I have fresh fuel all the time and I don't have to worry about stale gas in my equipment. Is your yard full of obstructions? The thing that I always find funny is that people say, I'm getting a zero turn because I'm going to be able to mow my lawn faster. You're not going to mow your lawn faster with a zero turn if you don't have anything that you have to go around. Just because you have a bigger yard, it doesn't mean that it's going to take any less time to cut with a zero turn, especially if you have the same size mowing deck. 2 different mowers, both of them 48-inch decks, one being a zero turn, one being a conventional mower. If you have a normal yard that only has a couple of trees in it and you have the house and maybe a shed out on the property, you're not going to cut any time off of your mowing whatsoever with a zero turn. That's just a matter of, do you want a zero turn because it's fun to play with? Is it comfortable for you to ride and get up on, that kind of a thing? A lot of people find that whenever they get a zero turn, they don't like it because their yard is bumpy and they're bouncing up and down. Now, if you spend $8,000 to $12,000 on a Ferris or a Simplicity that has adjustable independent suspension to help with those bumps, that's one thing. But the stuff that you might be buying at the box stores like Cub Cadet or Husky or Bad Boys or whatever you want to call them, some of the John Deere that's sold at Home Depot, those things are pretty rough. They give you a rough ride. So if you have neck or back problems, you may not want a zero turn. You might think you want a zero turn, but until you ride it across a bumpy lawn, that's really the judge factor there. If you have a lot of obstructions, let's say picnic areas, fire pits, couple sheds, buildings, landscaping, trees, all that. If you have to drive around a lot of stuff, a zero turn might be practical. So it's a consideration that you have to ask yourself, do I need a zero turn? My father, when he went to look for a mower, he was talking zero turn. And I told him, there's no way that a zero turn is going to save you any amount of time off of your drive while you mow, because first of all, he don't mow in high gear. So he wouldn't take and push that zero turn to its limits and really getting the speed out of it, number one. Number two, he don't like being bounced around, so he's not going to drive very fast. Number three, he don't have a lot of obstructions in his yard. And number four, he's been mowing the same yard for 30 years. It's not like all of a sudden he's going to find revelation driving a zero turn on how to cut that grass any faster. So I talked him out of that because a lot of those zero turns, they're just more money. There's a lot of commercial residential zero turns out there, and it's basically to address a market of people that want to have a zero turn for whatever reason. So if you're one of those people that just want to have one, go ahead and go buy one. But you really have to ask yourself, do you need one? Is quality of cut a concern? Now, what I'm talking about is, do you want those stripes in your lawn? Do you want a nice even cut? Do you want to make sure that it's perfectly manicured? Do you want to be able to edge your property and string trim your property and then mow your property and make it look like a golf course? That's really going to make a big decision on which mower you buy. There's a lot of them out there that have really good cut qualities, and then there's other ones that just get the job done. They just mow the lawn. Do I have my lawn treated, or does it grow naturally? And the reason I ask that is because there's customers that I've had in the past that have complained that their mowers just aren't cutting the grass like it used to when they moved into their brand new house. The thing was is they get their lawn treated every year and their grass is thick. It's like carpet. And that mower's just doing everything it can to cut through that carpet. We actually suggested to them that they cut back on their fertilizing of their lawn and getting their lawn treated maybe for a year or two to help the lawn thin itself out. It looks great and it's fantastic the way that it feels as far as you walking on it, but it gets to the point where their mower didn't cut the grass any longer the way that they wanted it to. How easy is it to get maintenance done on your lawnmower? And are you going to be doing it yourself? If not, you need to buy a mower that's close to a dealer. Now, John Deere's, they're expensive mowers, and I don't have feelings one way or the other about them. They're decent mowers. However, the dealer also charges a pretty decent amount to keep those things serviced real well. But the nice thing about John Deere is they come with a good warranty initially, and you can always call them after the warranty or during the warranty, and they'll usually come out and pick it up for you, take it to the shop, fix it, and bring it back. So there's another question. Are you going to be able to haul it yourself? Do you have the ability to haul it yourself? The Craftsman series, Sears has warranties that you can purchase at the time that you buy your mower. They have in-home service technicians that are be more than willing to come out and fix your mower. After your warranty's up, you got to make sure that you renew your warranty, and that gets kind of expensive. If you're just going to pay outright for them to come out to your house, it costs about $100 just for them to come out and tell you what's wrong with your mower. And then at that point, you can decide if you want to get it fixed or not. Are attachments needed for the mower? Not necessarily right now, but are you going to buy some in the future? And are they going to be available for your mower? And I'm talking about like a rototiller or a bagger for the leaf season, or how about a snowplow? And on top of that, what about some kind of protection from the sun? Are you in a really sunny climate? Do you need some sort of a canopy to help you out? Or are you going to be plowing with it in the winter? Maybe you have a snowblower attachment that you bought for the front. Do you need a cab that goes over top of it? So now you're protected from the winter weather. Make sure you buy a tractor or a mower that's going to accommodate that. Just because you buy a really nice lawnmower doesn't mean it makes it a really good snowblower. And just because they make a snowblower attachment for the front of it or a plow attachment for the front of it, don't think that that's going to be necessarily a good plow tractor. My neighbor up the street bought a brand new MTD, and it was a lawnmower. And he also bought a brand new snowplow for it because he needed to plow his driveway. And we live close to the road, and he lives really close to the road. And the plow has tendency to plow the end of our driveway pretty solid. The very first winter, he was all happy to yank his mowing deck off and put on his blade. And he went out there and he couldn't push nothing. He realized he needed some sort of chains or weights for his wheels. He got weights and chains, and it still didn't do a very good job at all. As far as if you're going to buy attachments, how well the tractor is going to handle those attachments. What's your user preference as far as going back to the ergonomic things? Your preference of pushing a pedal, hydrostat, a manual, and a hydrostat just means automatic. Now, I want MTD users to quit using the word hydrostat. Most MTDs are not hydrostatic. They are automatic. And it's all done with belts and pulleys. Hydrostatic meaning some sort of fluid drive. That's basically an automatic transmission or automatic transaxle. Whenever you have your tractor, if you're going to be pulling and towing a lot of stuff, you might want to go with a manual, especially if it's something heavy. If you're not, you can go with a hydrostat. Just make sure that you're not on a lot of hills. If you got a lot of hills to climb in that, again, go to the manual. As far as pushing a pedal, do you mind pushing the pedal all the time? Are you always adjusting your speed? Again, if there's a lot of obstacles in your yard and you choose a regular conventional style mower and it has a pedal, that's not a bad thing because you can slow down for the stuff you got to go around, and then you can push it to the floor to get in the big straightaways, get the mowing done, get it over with. With a manual, you've got to change gears. You have to push in a clutch, you have to stop, you have to go to another gear, let out the clutch, get around whatever it is, and then if you're in a long straightaway to mow, you then have to go to a higher gear doing that same thing again. Do you get tired pushing a pedal? Is your leg strength not there? Do you just hate pushing the pedal all the time? I don't have a problem with it. I don't mind doing it at all. But I also enjoy having the automatics that are on the fenders, because I can steer with my left hand, and with my right hand I can do everything that I need. This also helps the short people that might have a problem pushing the pedal, the brake pedal. If you have a control over here, whenever you put a hydrostat back in neutral, you usually stop. That thing won't roll. You can slow down even on a hill, and if it goes to neutral, that thing will stop, and it usually holds itself as long as the hill's not too steep. So you don't even have to push that pedal that you can barely reach with your short legs. So it's kind of nice. Something to consider. How about something as simple as some of the features? Some of them have tilt steering. People like that. Some of them have a cruise control. Also, how about a cup holder? I got a lot of people out there that like to drink their beer whenever they're out mowing. So as far as a cup holder goes, that's nice to have. I like having it just for water. Single cylinder engines that are rated at like 17 horse, like the Briggs, they're pretty loud. They have a loud exhaust system. Twin cylinders that are into 24 horsepower, 27 horsepower, 30 horsepower, those things are really loud also, even with good exhaust systems. But there's some in between ones that are kind of quiet. Is noise a consideration? Also, blades, as far as the blade speed, some of those things sound like airplanes whenever you engage them, especially if you get into a little bit of wet grass while you're mowing. That thing will just sound like an airplane taking off the whole time because that grass kind of packs in and those blades get real close. Does that annoy you? Is it going to annoy the neighbors? Are you in an area that should be kind of quiet? All that's to be determined by the type of mower, and there's lots of them out there. I can't say one brand that's quieter than the others. You need to check it out yourself. How quickly do you need to get to cut the grass? And what I mean is, do you have a really busy schedule? You only have a few hours a week that's to yourself and you don't want to spend it cutting the lawn? Or are you the type of person that likes to enjoy the cutting the lawn because that's your downtime? Again, drinking a beer underneath a canopy of shade, and you're just mowing along at the good old pace, listening to your music. That's going to determine what kind of mower you need and what it can handle as far as speed. Getting back to zero turns that handle bumps really well, or even garden tractors that might be really durable and do a good job, but what are they like whenever they're in high gear and you got the RPMs all the way up? Are they bouncing you around pretty good? Is it bouncing you so much that your deck is bouncing? And is it making gouges in the lawn and the way it looks? Is that a problem for you, or you just want to get the lawn done? Something you need to ask yourself. Finally, how much money do you want to spend? I've got people that are elderly that are looking to buy mowers that are $2,000, $3,000. Again, they might be 80 years old. And I tell them, do you enjoy mowing your lawn? And they're like, no, not really. Well, if you count it out with a senior discount, for a smaller lawn, you might be able to get a lawn service to take care of your lawn for you for that same money. Maybe you're a type of person that you just moved into a new house, you have a 30-year mortgage, you plan on dying in that house, you're going to live there for the rest of your life, you're a 20-year-old, and you just happen to come into a good job in a good area with a good company, and you know you're going to be there forever. And you want to cut your lawn really nice for the rest of your life, and you want attachments? Go out and spend $5,000 on a rider. Go out and spend $6,000 on a rider. Go out and spend $15,000 on a tractor or a zero turn that's going to last you all that time. You won't be sorry. That's something that's really nice. Now, there's other people that don't have the money for that. They don't want to finance a mower, which I don't blame them. They just want to buy a mower that's going to get the job done. How long do you want the mower to last? That's a consideration. Maybe you're only staying in this house for a few years and you might be moving. Don't go out and buy a big expensive tractor because you're not going to get your money back out of it. Some of them hold values better than others, but ultimately it's kind of like automobiles where they lose their value once you move them right out of the dealer. But you can find good used mowers that last a really long time. So those are all the points. I know this video was relatively boring. I tried to edit it down, but I covered points that are very important to think about whenever you're buying a mower. All these questions that I have that I just went over are things that I consider whenever I'm helping somebody choose a mower. And a lot of these questions I asked of them and see if that's something they want to do or not do. So this is the things that you need to be asking yourself. And ultimately, if you're not real sure about the mower that you want to buy, ask people that have mowers around you what they like and dislike about their mower. Look at their lawns. Don't be afraid to stop when you see somebody mowing with a mower that you might be considering to purchase and ask them what they think about it. A lot of people like to talk about their mowers. It's just like their cars. If you see somebody that's got a car that you're considering buying and it's up at a parking lot at the mall, would you be afraid to come up and say, hey, how do you like your car? I was thinking about buying one of these. Does it get good gas mileage? That kind of a thing. Do the same thing with the mowers, because a lot of these mowers can cost just as much as cars. So I appreciate you watching this video. Click like or subscribe, and I'll try to get more on like this, and I hope this helped you out. Bye.